Hi, I'm Glenn Whipp with the Los Angeles Times. Joining us today, two-time Emmy winner from Veep,
Isn't that crazy?
Tony Hale.
Thank you for having me.
It is crazy.
It's such a nice setup you have here.
Thank you.
Very nice. It is crazy.
And you know, I was watching last night, preparing for this interview, I was watching your Emmy win last year.
Oh, that's nice.
And so, you know, it's up on YouTube.
Yeah.
And so they announce your name, and then there's like this announcer
Yeah.
that's there at the theater saying, this is Tony Hale's second Emmy win from 3 nominations. He was so excited about his nomination that he forgot to take his daughter to camp.
I did. I forgot to take my daughter to camp.
Was that like embarrassing as you're walking? Did you even hear that?
I didn't even
walking?
hear it. I didn't even hear that. I was in such, like, I mean, when that happens, everything you just check out.
Right.
I mean, it's so exciting, and I mean, I love my show, and I love the people I work with. I'm so grateful for that, for the job. But when that happened, everything just kind of, I don't even remember anybody talking.
So you didn't get up to the stage and go, well, why did they have to mention that?
No. Everything just starts sounding like that Charlie Brown teacher, where you're just like, I don't know what's happening. And then, I mean, honestly, when Ricky Gervais, he was the one who was giving the award, and he handed me, and that alone, because I'm a huge fan of his, and just to take that in of like, oh crap, this is Ricky Gervais.
Right.
You know, so, and then just, you know, it's very surreal and awesome and exciting.
Did your daughter appreciate the shout out?
Yeah, she always gets very excited when she hears her name. Yeah. She's a sweetie.
But that is a true story. This little factoid.
Oh, about the camp. I think when she heard it, I think she remembers. She was kind of like, yeah, I was supposed to go to camp that day. But my wife and I were just so shocked to get on that list. It's a lot. I mean, I still have a hard time believing that I have even been on that list. And so when I hear my name or see my name on the list with the nominations, you know, I just kind of lose myself, and then I remember, oh, I have a family. I'm supposed to take my daughter to camp. And my daughter's like, I gotta go. So even with that being the third time, there's still a little sense of disbelief or. Yeah, I mean, I think if it's crazy. I mean, I've been an actor for almost 20 years, and I never thought I'd be associated. I'm on that list. I mean, it's incredible. It's just overwhelming. And I think if I ever get used to it, somebody just needs to pop me upside the head. Like, that's nothing that you should ever get used to. You know, it's so. I mean, it's just overwhelming and exciting and crazy.
The other thing I loved about your Emmy acceptance speech was that you had like the world's tiniest piece of paper. You took this out of your pocket and it's like this big, and then you started to unfold it, and I thought, well, how many times did you fold it? And then it only got to about this big.
That's hilarious. You're the first person who noticed that, because if it were to happen, when you're thinking, if this were to happen, there are people that you really don't want to forget that. You know, like family, and my family back in my wife's family in Alabama, my family in Georgia, and people I work with. And so I typed it out, just this little list of names, just in case it were to happen, because I was afraid I wouldn't read my handwriting, and then cut it out and then fold it up. But I probably, out of nervousness, I just folded it too much. Just like dun, 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 dun. And then when I get up there, I'm like, good God, this is taking a long time.
It was great. It was great.
Yeah, it was fun.
This season of Veep has been
nuts.
Kind of mirroring the real political scene.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess the thing that, as I've been watching this season, the desperation that Selena has to hold on to power, kind of really ties in well with just how desperate it seems like so many of the candidates have been to grab on to power.
Yeah, and it really is. I mean, I've mentioned that. I think we were talking about this another time. But if what has been said in the media, what has been put out there, and just the words spoken, if 4 years ago, if the writers came to us and said, "Hey, I'm thinking about this kind of a character, and I'm thinking about him saying these kind of things," I mean, hands down, everyone would have been like, "Come on. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy." And then you see this kind of cartoon figure in the press saying this kind of stuff in the political, election, and you're just kind of like, what's happening? So it is nutty, because Selena, the character who Julia plays, she is just so desperate. She'll do anything. She'll just backstab and say horrific things behind the scenes, and you kind of think like, oh, how awful. But then you see this stuff played out on live television. It's it's kind of alarming.
And it's very funny in the show, not so
funny.
much in real life, but
No, and you also think, you see, the crazy thing is she kind of puts on a face on camera. She says, and then behind the scenes she acts like a maniac and she screams at us all this. So what's being said now is like on camera. It happens behind the scenes, but the fact that it's being put out there, just out there, it's crazy.
And as funny as it is, there's...
it shouldn't be said either way, but the
right.
fact that it's kind of out there is alarming.
But there's also like this kind of underlying sadness too.
Yeah.
To all these characters.
All of them, because it's not just her, we're all desperate. My character, I can't understand life without her. The thought of her leaving me is emotional suicide, So wherever she goes in the presidential race, I don't understand life without her, So, there's that desperation of, good God, she has to stay in office for me to survive.
Right. I really worry about Gary when she goes to the private sector.
When he goes home, he thinks about her. When he goes home, his shopping thinks about her, what she needs. I think he probably has some kind of tape, something that shouts out what's in his bag, and he closes his eyes just to see how fast he can get it out at night. Like, that's his game that he plays. That's his extracurricular activity.
Yeah.
So he doesn't know life outside of her. So, it's terrifying for him what the potential is.
Have you inherited some of those skills? Like, can you carry your wife's purse around and say, okay,
I'm very good at it.
Yeah.
I'm very, very good at it.
So your abilities as a husband have been enhanced by playing
Just have
this
her
part.
clutch purse and just grab it.
Right. I love the there was I think it was the 7th episode just recently, where she launched the investigation. Selena launched the investigation. Someone called her the C word.
Oh, yes.
And it turns out pretty much everyone called her the C word, including Gary.
Including me.
I was shocked, except then there was Gary's explanation.
So Gary, this was such a great picture of Gary, because the thought of him even having a bad thought about Selena, he just goes into depression and anxiety because he can't believe this thought entered his head. But he threw out the word. He came in and said, I was the one who called her the C word. And it's obviously another awful word, but he says, I called her a crone. And they all just looked at him like with complete disbelief. Like, what the hell are you talking about, Gary? This is the word that we called her.
Yeah.
And he's like, what is wrong with you people? Like, that is just blasphemy, what they said, you know?
That was my favorite. It's probably my favorite Gary moment of this season. Although the moment when he walked in on Selena and Tom James.
Having sex, yeah.
Now, Gary's had some reactions before, but this one was sustained.
It was sustained. It was sustained. The whole setup is, she had a moment with Tom James, who plays Hugh Laurie plays this character, and I walk in on them, and it was like a kid walking in on his parents having sex. Like, it was just, it's such a horrific image,
right?
And he just was in a state of paralysis. Like, he didn't know what to do, and just slowly backed up because his whole body was just in complete PTSD.
Yeah. It was great. A little piece of physical
fun.
comedy, which is so much of Gary. It is a very physical part.
I know, and it's so fun because when we're doing bits, like there's the scripted stuff, and Dave Mandel and all the writers work so crazy hard in coming up with structure and lines and making them funny, and then we can play and stuff. But it's really fun to get on set, and then the line is, I take her coat off, but then her and I going, oh, how can we bump this up? How can we, if she drops her coat and I catch it, or if she throws her jacket and just like how we can see that desperation, her complete, just awfulness, and me just like my codependency just to make her happy.
Yeah.
Just how can we find that physicality? And that is really fun to always find.
Between Buster and Gary, both very physical,
Yeah.
comedy inherent in those characters. Do you have any kind of physical tells? Like if someone was going to imitate you,
Yeah. Oh,
what's
God.
your
If someone was going to imitate me, I scratch my nose a lot. I don't know what I do. I eat a lot. What do I do? I guess. Oh man, that's a hard
crossing
one.
your arms and now you're
So fun-
defensive?
Now I'm defensive.
Now I'm like looking
Now I'm
at
gonna
all
totally
your
cross everything in my body.
Crawl
My
up.
daughter actually mimics, like she'll mimic my voice sound sometimes. But I don't know, God, physicality, I'm sure I do. Oh, I will say there was one time, and I've hopefully gotten better at it, but my sister saw a press photo of me, and my posture was really bad. And she says, Anthony, she calls me Anthony, she says, I don't want you to take this wrong way, but you look like a buzzard. And I was like, what? First of all, how can I not take that the wrong way?
Yeah.
And secondly, she's like, you were just hunched and your nose looked really long. I was like, good God, sister. And so
She
then
was just trying to be helpful.
yeah, calling me a buzzard. So then I tried to work on it, and hopefully my posture has gotten better. Maybe not. Maybe I look like the hunchback. Who knows?
I mean, you said you like to eat a lot. I was
Love to
remembering
eat. I'm from the South. Like
a couple of years ago, you were here.
Yeah.
Well, not here. You were 8 floors below in our other studio thing.
Right.
But we were talking about you had taken a cruise, a Disney cruise.
Oh yeah.
You were going on about the buffet there.
Love a
I just
buffet.
remembered that.
Yeah, I love. And the cruise is it's like a floating all-you-can-eat buffet, and it's fantastic.
Do you have any vacation plans this summer?
Well, we typically go on. Let me think. In July, we're going to take. We're going to go down south. We're going to take my daughter goes to this camp in North Carolina, which my wife went to, and so she'll go there, and then we kind of do our little redneck road trip where, because my family's in Georgia, her family's in Alabama, and we visit family and just feast.
There's good food.
Yeah.
So are you
There's
like a barbecue?
Barbecue, green bean casserole, sweet potato casserole, cornbread, collard greens, all of that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Outstanding.
Bring it on.
And you're saying your daughter is going to the same camp that your wife went to?
Yeah,
Like,
she goes to the same camp that my wife did. It's been around for that long.
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's really cool, and it's sleepaway camp. So, and I was nervous. I was like, oh, but she loves it. She's like, goodbye, guys. See
How
ya."
long is she gone?
She'll be there for about, I think, a little over a week.
Okay.
So
She's
like, "How's the boy?"
10, so
And yeah, and she loves
she's
it.
still at the age where she might actually miss you.
I know, and we kind of stay in the
okay.
area. Like we'll
See-
make sure. That's why we'll fly there, and then we'll make sure we're in the area in case something happens. But she's like, I could have stayed so much longer. She didn't miss us at all.
Yeah.
She loved it.
Now, Gary, one of Gary's many talents is being able to sort of whisper in Selena's ear.
Karaoke.
Yeah. Is that what you call that?
Yeah.
I haven't heard that one
you
before.
haven't heard that? My character's name is Gary, and we call it karaoke.
He knows everything.
He doesn't know anything about politics. He doesn't care about politics, but he knows random tidbits of like if she's talking to someone, he'll be like, he just had an affair, or his
Prostitute.
daughter. Yeah, his prostitute. His daughter's in rehab. You know, he knows these. He likes, this person likes chocolate-covered cherries or whatever. He's like random facts.
But some of them very helpful.
Some of them, well, it's conversational pieces
Yeah.
that she needs because, I mean, he should know a lot about politics, but he doesn't.
So if he was working, well, he would never work for somebody else, but say he was at a party and
Right.
Selena Meyer was there and he needed to tell somebody about Selena, what couple of things would he whisper in
He would
this
say,
person's ear?
she's as close to the Messiah as they come. The second coming has happened. That's exactly what he would say.
Okay. What would he say about Amy Bruckheimer?
Her heart is completely cold. Don't even try to have a decent conversation with her. You're an object of what can you do for her.
Okay. Dan Egan,
Uses women.
Mike McClintock.
Doesn't know how to talk to women.
He's pretty good with his wife.
Yeah, that's true. He actually has a great marriage. I would say he's a really solid man who loves his wife, and yeah, I would say of the group, it's interesting because he's the one that you kind of see his family life.
Mm-hmm.
You see what's going on. Everybody else you don't really see behind the scenes on their family life, but you're right, he does have like, I mean, he's awkward dude. They're all awkward. But
Looks like he's about to have a much bigger family life.
yeah, he's gonna have 3 children maybe. But he
This is such a Mike thing. It's like.
But you're right. He really cares for his wife, and they go off and have. He's super like, because Gary is very nervous, but so is Mike. Mike definitely has an anxiety about pleasing Selena and messing up, and all that.
What would he say about Tom James now?
Don't trust him.
Especially.
Don't trust him.
Yeah.
He's got a bit of an agenda,
Yeah.
which they all do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that Gary, and I still believe, he showed up number 21 on the Hills hot list.
So there's a hot list, which actually is, I think,
It's got
out. I think it's out there, and so there's this list of who's considered hot on Capitol Hill, and I guess every year they put out this list, and Gary, my character, made the list, and Gary was like super proud of that, and they had to go to a party that night in the episode, and he had his, he put on cologne for the first time, and he had like a really nice tux, and was always looking in the mirror.
You look good.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Glenn. And then it turns out it was a guy named Gary Welsh, not
I don't
Gary
know that
Walsh.
do you really believe that? Maybe it wasn't a typo.
Well, thank you.
It seemed kind of a bitter. There's so much bitterness going on.
Thank you.
in this
Maybe
world.
somebody actually saw the heart, and Gary has a good heart and did want to put him on the hot list. He had a hot heart.
Mm-hmm. And he also he has beautiful eyes.
His beautiful eyes, which Dan Egan on the show calls cow eyes. But then Sam Richardson character says I have beautiful eyes.
Yeah.
So someone likes them.
Yeah, that was one of the nice things that happened on Veep this year. Probably the worst thing that happened was in last night's episode when we see that Jonah is now elected to Congress.
Is elected to Congress. Again, the kind of person that you would never see in that horrific, that kind of person in politics running, and it happened. That's interesting.
You're not making any parallels here.
Like,
No, none at all. But that, I'm not. That's really a Selena presidency, a Jonah Congress. I'm not sure which is the worst.
I don't know.
It's really neck and neck.
It's a pretty interesting power couple.
Yeah.
But it's full of surprises.
You were full of surprises a few days ago on your Instagram account.
Oh yeah.
You sent out this photo
Yeah.
of you and Aaliyah Shawkat.
Yeah. We were doing an episode of Drunk History.
Ah, okay.
And it's
Because you didn't identify it in.
no, we didn't have to. But I made the joke of Arrested season 5. There's been a few changes because I'm dressed fully in like, just kind of Shakespeare. We look kind of Shakespearean, and had a wig, and she's dressed like the same, and so it was just a joke. But I felt kind of bad because I think people believed me.
Well, that's the Arrested Development fan base.
Yeah, and they're so kind, and
so rabid though.
and so rabid. But like because I love the show so much, and they love the show so much, and I hope I didn't like upset anybody. I just thought it was kind of, because we looked so different. I thought it was kind of funny.
It looked like the reaction was good online.
Yeah.
I mean,
it was fun.
Any little tidbit, any little scrap of Arrested Development just is.
But me too. I like
Yeah.
anything I hear. I'm just, what's going on? Because that show is, talk about surprises. That show is so full of surprises, and what happens in Mitch Hurwitz's head. I mean, I can't wait to hear because something happened with Liza Minnelli's character towards the end of season 4, and him and Buster's, my character's relationship. And I'm just like so interested, like what's going on here? So I'm curious. So any tidbit online, I'm like, yeah, what's happening? What's happening?
you don't know.
I have no
Mitch
clue.
hasn't.
I have
Mitch
no
hasn't
clue.
told you.
I know that everybody really wants to do it, and we all desperately want to do Mitch's writing.
Yeah.
And I know Mitch wants to do it. I think it's just a matter of logistics, getting everybody together.
Right. It was hard the last time.
It was mainly really challenging for Mitch because of the way that he had to do the story, and getting everybody's schedule and who was there, who wasn't. I mean, that was a real challenge for him.
Yeah, it'd be great if for the next season they could block it out somehow, but there's so many moving parts to get more of you guys together.
And I miss doing scenes with all of them. I mean, like David Cross and
Right.
Alia, you know, stuff like that. Like it was really fun just to work with them all.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and you will be asked about this as long as Mitch is around.
Which I love too, because it's funny because I only think I've seen each episode maybe 1 or 2 times, but so when people come up to me and say, "Oh, do you remember this on Arrested Development?" I don't. I'm like, I really don't, but that's hilarious, so tell me more.
Yeah.
Because I forget all the little details that happened, and I need to go back and kind of watch it again.
Was it nice this season? Veep filmed in Los Angeles.
Yeah, which was
as
really
opposed to Baltimore.
Yeah, because we were in Baltimore for 4 years, and I love I love shooting in Baltimore. I think it's got a great restaurant scene. It's just a really great place, but it was very, 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 very difficult to be away from family. It was really hard. Even though we as a cast really grew together, because when we were done, we could go out to eat and like talk about the day and stuff, but it was really tough to be away from family. So being back home, and you know, my daughter has little recitals and performances and stuff, and so to be able to go, and that's just a gift.
Yeah.
So we're very thankful for that.
More of a normal life, yeah.
Yeah, and we're shooting on the Paramount lot, and it's really, you know, it's just really great.
Good, yeah, I wondered about that. It seemed like a chance to have a sort of a more normal family life as opposed to being uprooted, which is part of being an actor, but.
And you make it work. Like every 2 weeks we would travel back and forth, or there were some hiatuses built in. But it's still tough. I mean, it's still tough not to be there, because I love taking my daughter to school and picking her up and all that stuff.
Yeah. Matt Walsh had a good suggestion when we spoke last about having Selena date somebody who looked like Gary.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Do you think that Gary would be able to?
Gary would be horrified.
Yeah.
The whole time Gary would be like, why are you not just dating me? But I think that's a great idea.
Yeah.
And even Julie, I think at the time, was like, huh.
She was very excited about that.
That's a
yeah.
good idea.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, what's interesting is that, I mean, everyone seems to be so invested in telling a lot. She said there's a lot more story to tell.
Which is awesome.
Which leads me to think that Selena might win this whole recount thing.
I don't know. We shall see.
Because where is it going to go otherwise? But you know, I never necessarily would have seen her becoming president as quickly as she did on the show.
And that's what's really fun about just being an actor on the show. Because again, I never know where the writers are going to take it, and so you just kind of you get into a season going, all right, what's going to happen?
Yeah.
And that's really fun.
Exciting. Yeah.
Very exciting.
Well, thanks for stopping by.
Thanks for having me.
Good to see you.
I love your new digs.
Thank you.
I need to live here. Nice.
And for more of these Emmy conversations, please go to latimes.com. Thanks for watching.
Thank you for watching.